So yeah, we'll just go ahead and start with that about how Hell in a Cell was a much better pay-per-view apparently.
Yeah, Hell in a Cell was really solid. Like, in my opinion, from start to finish, it was pretty solid. Even Dave Meltzer himself, from what I've read, gave Cody and Seth Rollins a 5-star.
Yeah, the only thing, and this is so minor, I didn't, like I told you off podcast, I didn't watch Hell in a Cell yet because it's a WWE special because it's not really a pay per view. But I didn't watch it, but now I think I'm going to go back and watch it because I've heard so many good things. Like I've heard it was a solid show.
All around it was. I feel like there's a few things that was left out that should have been in there, like the IC title. Where's it at? I mean, Ricochet just floated along with it.
Well, we shall see.
Ronda Rousey wasn't.
Oh, really? Ronda wasn't?
No. She wasn't booked either.
Well, as opposed to Double or Nothing, where it seemed like everybody was booked, but we'll get right into that right now. Welcome to Down the Middle. As always, co-hosts Jake and Brian. We are going to bring you our reactions, results, and just general thoughts, feelings, and heebie-jeebies about AEW Double or Nothing. For those of you that remember the last time, I went and tried the experience of watching a wrestling pay-per-view in a movie theater so you don't have to. And first off, I can honestly say I will never do it again. It was fucking terrible. First off, they didn't turn the lights out. And it wasn't on the theaters. They did not, no. And they didn't have the sound coming through all the speakers, just the front ones. So it was basically like watching it on a really big TV, but I was further away from it. So it was kind of the shits.
For $25.
Now, that's the only saving grace, is that it was half the price of ordering the pay-per-view at home. However, if I'd ordered the pay-per-view at home, I would have had the option of turning it off and watching the rest of it at my leisure. And then plus the fact, too, that, man, I don't... Because I love wrestling, but sometimes I really fucking hate wrestling fans. There's a certain class of them, and I'm not going to get into details, but I'm sure you can fathom in your own mind. It was the worst of the worst. And there were three door... What's that?
I thought I could not agree anymore.
You couldn't what anymore?
I said I could not agree anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, first of all, there were a bunch of there were 4 smart marks to my left that wouldn't shut up through the whole damn show. And it's not like everybody was kind of talking and murmuring, and it was loud enough it wasn't really distracting, but these 4 idiots wouldn't shut the fuck up. And they were like, talking like this, and so-and-so is booked so shitty, and Adam Cole used to be a great wrestler, but now he's just not, and you know, I don't even like women's wrestling because it's stupid. You know, the whole fucking show.
I'm glad I was able to watch that on my own.
Yeah, I will not be doing that again, ever. But as a bonus fact, since I was so pissed off during the pay-per-view, I was live tweeting and messaging you basically the whole show. So we've got some gems. And just to start us off, I got there at 7 o'clock, which is when the pre-show was supposed to start. That was a mistake, because there really wasn't a pre-show. There was one match in the pre-show. The rest of it was just them showing the vignettes. But I made it... The first message I sent you was at 9:12, and remember, the actual pay-per-view started at 8, our time. At 9:12, the first message I sent you was, man, this PPV is the shit so far.
Here's my thing: is I didn't watch. I caught the pay-per-view after a couple matches have happened already. So there's a couple of them that I have not seen. Like maybe the first three, I think I didn't get a chance to watch.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember what match would have been. I think that would have been well into the Jade Cargill Anna Jay match, but we're going to start from the beginning. We had in the pre-show match a match that should not have been even on the pre-show of a pay-per-view. If anything, this should have been on Dark. Maybe an opening match on Rampage. We had Hook and Danhausen, and I'm not going to call them Hookhausen because that implies that they're a tag team, and if there's anyone with a brain in the creative team at AEW, they will stop this shit immediately and try to save Hook against Tony Nese and Mark Sterling. Now, I would have loved to have seen a match between Hook and Tony Nese. But then you add a comedy character in Smart Mark Sterling, which honestly, for what he was gonna do, he did a good job. I thought it was, for what it was funny. I just didn't want it to be funny. But then there's Danhausen, who I know I'm in the minority, but I think Danhausen is an embarrassment to the wrestling industry. Not that his in-ring work is bad. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it because he's too busy playing a fake demon who hasn't even cursed anyone. At least on the indies, he would actually curse people. But AEW's playing this really dumb, like, gotcha but don't gotcha game where he's a demon and he can curse people, but he doesn't curse people in AEW because if he did curse people in AEW, then people would, like, it's too phony. So instead of changing the character, they go with the indie-rific shit that people on the indies claim to have loved. And it's just, I don't see Danhausen going anywhere in AEW unless they change the character around.
Yeah, I think he'll be used as more of like a side character or like a side storyline. Something to add a little comedy to it. I don't think he'll ever have like a. I don't see him having a full-on storyline.
Right.
That is a match I did not get a chance to see.
Don't. It's a waste of time. It wasn't good. It wasn't even a good comedy match because it would have been one thing if you had like Smart Mark Sterling and I don't know Peter Avalon versus Danhausen and Orange Cassidy. Because then at least it would have been a comedy match. But they're killing Hook. And at least Tony Nese has the luxury of being a heel. So if at any point, and I'm talking in reality, if at any point Tony Nese, like the person, the performer, was like, you know what, this is the shits, he could have walked back and it still would have been in character because he's a heel.
Yeah.
Because he literally, like, the actual, I don't know if Tony Nese is his real name. I'm not going to look it up, but assuming it is. Tony Nese, like, the individual, not the wrestler, could have been standing in his corner being like, God, this is fucking embarrassing. I'm going to leave. And he could have, without just throwing the whole thing in the garbage. But yeah, this match was not good, but everybody cheered for fucking Danhausen. I don't understand it. It's like, sometimes I've come across some wrestling fans who will clap at anything they're told to clap for by the internet, like trained seals, but then shit on the people that are actually good. It makes no sense.
Hey, wrestling fans are fucking weird these days.
They really are. I love it though. Like it just doesn't make sense because they'll. And again, I'm not commenting on Danhausen's in-ring work because honestly, I can't speak to it. I haven't seen it. I'm just talking about the goofy-ass booking and the goofy-ass gimmicks that these people clap for. But then you have... I'm trying to think of a good example here. Well, you have good matches in WWE, and then people were like, yeah, but it's WWE, and we don't like sports entertainment. Well, you know what? Neither do I, but... some WWE does have good matches. There's just not an entire show full of them.
Yeah.
There are hidden gems. But anyway, thankfully it was only a 5-minute match, but I was already probably a little pissed because I was expecting an hour-long pre-show, and I got a 5-minute pre-show coupled with 55 minutes of bullshit vignettes that I'd already seen on television. So I really wish I would have had some heads up for that one. But our opening match, which was a good one, we had Wardlow finally... Oh, yeah. Our first match, we had Wardlow finally getting a chance to get his hands on MJF.
Wow. So going into that match, I had not watched it, but I'd seen a couple pictures, and I heard that MJF may have not was going to be there, but I didn't know if it was a work or not, because apparently I seen a tweet that Goldberg was on standby if MJF didn't show up.
My 2 cents about the MJF thing, which we have to touch on MJF's pipe bomb promo, which was phenomenal. Because here's the thing. I think it is a work, but I think it started as a shoot, meaning that I think they had some legitimate disagreement, Tony Khan and MJF, but MJF, being the genius that he is, he knows that all the smart fans and Uncle Dave are going to talk about it. So turn it into an angle, make some money. Because I think I think it was pretty legit that MJF was unhappy with his contract, considering that I don't know if he's gotten a new one, but I had read that he was on the same contract that he was on when he started. And he's one of their biggest... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, he's one of the biggest draws when it comes to money. But I had seen that his contract will be up in 2024.
Correct. But what I'm saying is he was still on the same contract. I think he signed a 5-year deal. So, meanwhile, and rightfully so, but if I'm MJF... and I'm seeing, Tony Khan's bringing in, the Christians, and I'm not going to say the Bryan Danielsons and the Punks, because they're legit big name draws, but some of the, he bringing in Adam Cole, O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and these guys are getting paid more because they came from WWE. So if I'm MJF and I'm like, well, wait a minute, I didn't come from WWE, I've been here since day one, and I'm still one of the biggest, if not the biggest draw, certainly of the homegrown talent. I don't think you can argue with that. And I'm still making, the same deal I was, and I'm making this place money. And I heard, I believe Brian Last said this. It was either Brian Last or Jim Cornette, but I think it was Brian Last. Said, if I'm Tony Khan, I'm looking at the situation and I'm tearing up MJF's contract and before it's even a problem, I'm offering him more money. I'm offering him a new deal. Because if MJF can go to WWE and is allowed to be even the fraction of a heel that he is in AEW, but on WWE's platform, I mean, just start printing money.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I'll be honest, I kind of want to see it.
I kind of do, too.
Because oh my God, you think Theory is Vince's golden boy? Holy shit, get MJF in there.
Oh, yeah. I think MJF is such a good worker that he can literally work with anybody.
Yeah.
I would love to see matches between him and Seth Rollins, him and The Miz, him and Roman Reigns. Just people off the top of my head, there's so many good matches he could have with other superstars over WWE.
Yeah, and imagine this one. Imagine this one in 2024. I don't know what month his contract expires, so this is heavy fantasy booking. 2024, Royal Rumble. Cody's in the Royal Rumble. Cody Rhodes. And then at number 30, after, put Cody in early, maybe even 1. 1, 2, 3, one of the early numbers, and he fights through. And then at number 30, fucking MJF. And then have him throw Cody over the top rope. Like, with MJF's ability to get heat and then give him that spot to do, holy shit.
It would be so, I don't know. It'd be such a perfect, like, I feel like that Rumble would be a sellout if there was any kind of leaks of MJF. It would even have a possibility.
There's a rumor. And the whole storyline can be like,
of being at the Rumble.
Yeah, well, and then the whole storyline can be MJF is like, yeah, Cody, guess what? I got tired of playing around in the land of midgets. I decided to come to the land of giants. You know? And MJF's a heat-seeking missile. I mean, god damn, that would be amazing. And this is honestly, a lot of people were initially, like, feeling some type of way about Cody going to WWE. I loved it because this is what I wanted for wrestling when AEW was first introduced.
So, honestly, something I would have liked to see, going back to the Royal Rumble thing, imagine if MJF comes out number 30, right? And MJF helps Cody eliminate all the last competitors, and it's just MJF and Cody. And then MJF steps over the top rope and walks out. That following Raw, following SmackDown, whatever it is, Cody says he's the one that paid for MJF to come to WWE because he knew how good MJF could be and knew that was his closest friend.
That would work if Cody was a heel or going to turn heel at that time. But anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he could turn heel doing that.
Yeah. But there wasn't much to this match, but there's no other way you could have done it, the Wardlow MJF match, because they did so many good spots, and MJF is so damn good. Like, just so good. The spot where he goes to put the ring on and the ref and Wardlow are both standing over him and he doesn't realize it yet. I mean, it's just, and then MJF took 10 power bombs like a champ, and MJF was putting Wardlow over, which is another reason why I don't really buy that there's still heat backstage between AEW and MJF, because he put Wardlow over like a champ, and he could have, if there was that much legitimate heat, he could have gone into business for himself and still lost the match, but not taken that. Although I would like to point out, this was the second of many disappointments of this pay-per-view. They bring the stretcher out for MJF, which I loved, but then the fucking idiot puts the mask on over the top half of his face. He puts the oxygen mask not over his mouth and nose, but over his nose and eyes. And the camera's right in there, and you can see everything. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
I hope you bring that up because I was going to if you did.
Oh, it was obvious. But overall, and then I also thought it was really silly. Like, I thought they took the whole Wardlow is now all elite thing a little too far.
I didn't know we did everything half-assed backwards. Next time we'll start feeding my forehead and not my mouth.
Oh, God. Yeah, but I also thought that they did the whole Wardlow being all elite. I thought that was a little over the top. Because, again, we lost Brian. We lost Brian. There he is. We got him back, so I'm still talking.
Am I back?
Yeah. Well, I can hear you. I can't see you.
Am I back?
Yet. You're black.
Am I back?
There you are.
Oh.
Pussy feathers. But anyway, what I was saying.
Hello.
I got you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. But what I was saying was...
Let me try.
Okay.
Let me try something different. Maybe I can work out a different spot so we can get some better connection.
We're gonna try something different. See if we can work out a better spot. I like it. In the meantime, I'm gonna keep yapping.
Yeah. We're having. Yeah,
Right.
you keep yapping, and we'll find us a new spot and keep this rolling.
Okay, so what I was saying was I think that the whole Wardlow finally being free and having an AEW contract was a little on the nose, because who honestly didn't believe that Wardlow had an AEW contract, considering he already had his own music and his own Titantron entrance? They didn't really think that one through.
Yeah.
Like, nobody was buying that shit. But yeah, it's always a treat to see MJF. I can honestly say I never really care specifically what he's doing. It's just always a good time. How we coming over there? Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen, and well, gentlemen, let's be real.
We're back.
Maybe, hopefully.
Are we good now?
I can hear you.
Hey, I think things are running a little bit easier now.
Okay. That's good, because we got the next match. Well, it was kind of a match. Next, we got the Hardys versus the Young Bucks, which in theory is a pay-per-view match.
That is another match.
Oh, go ahead.
That is another match I did not watch.
It was... I would like to know what was going on with Jeff Hardy's boot. I think it may have been broken, because there were so many opportunities he had to like refasten it, retie it, or rezip it, however they go together, but he never did, so I'm guessing it was like permanently broken. It was hard to watch because I love the Hardys, and I like the Young... Oh, we lost Brian again. Nope, we got him again. We got you?
I think we do.
Oh, okay. That's better.
I think that's a lot better, actually.
Yeah, mucho bettero, as our friends in Mexico say.
Maybe this is my permanent spot now.
That'll work. Yeah, this is much better. I can already tell a difference, and the delay's not there anymore.
There we go.
Bitchin'. All right, the Hardys versus the Young Bucks. As I was saying, this is theoretically a pay-per-view match. I love the Hardys. And honestly, I love the Young Bucks, except... I don't know. Here lately, I find myself not caring about the Young Bucks because they keep taking stuff too far. Like, I loved me some New Japan Young Bucks.
Yeah, New Japan and like Ring of Honor Young Bucks. I never watched a lot. I never watched a lot of, but what I did watch of them, I did like a lot. But like, I don't know, the AEW Bucks. I don't really care for that much.
I think, and see, here's the real tragedy is the Young Bucks can tell good stories, because from 2016 to 2019, basically until AEW started, I didn't miss any New Japan shows. I watched a lot of Ring of Honor shows. I didn't miss a single week of Being the Elite. And now I just don't give a shit. Because they've made it so goofy and so phony, and they've done it on a consistent basis every single week. Like, the comedy used to be sparing, but New Japan wouldn't let them be silly in the ring.
Yeah.
They would do the comedy stuff on being the elite, and that was fine. Because the Young Bucks are funny, but, well, for example, Nick Jackson was doing the whole caca thing for months. What is that?
I'm not sure.
Just fucking stop. Like, it's gotten so goofy, and Brandon Cutler's can't even be considered a wrestler anymore. Like, the whole thing is just, even Kenny Omega, and this pains me to say, and I get a lot of heat for this when I say it, it's like, how long's Kenny Omega been gone?
I don't know, 6 months already?
Has anyone seriously missed him?
Not really.
Has the show really felt any different without him there?
Not really.
And I'm not one of these people, but there are some who have said that the show is actually better without him there. I'm not one of those people. Because again, I mostly loved New Japan Kenny, but Kenny is one of those people who should not be allowed to book himself. Because he does some real goofy shit. And again, Kenny Omega can do phenomenal things in the ring. And he can tell interesting stories. He should not be allowed. Oops, my battery's running low because I forgot to plug myself in.
Oh man.
Oh, so cool. It's okay. I got it right here. If I can find the hole.
We're all having issues today, darn it.
Damn technology, but Kenny Omega, prime example, when he first joined Bullet Club, he was the cleaner, and I dug it. But apparently the Japanese fans didn't get it, which is understandable. But instead of finding a creative way to kind of inform them as to what a cleaner is, like, I don't know, maybe have a couple matches where AJ finds it not worth his time anymore, so then he just has Kenny go and clean up the mess, so to speak. Instead, he starts coming to the ring with a fucking broom and not only does he do that, he starts doing like the goofy movements with it and just being a fucking joke.
Yeah, I think that was pretty dumb too. I mean, honestly, okay. Now I never watched Kenny Omega until he was in AEW. The era of Kenny Omega that I liked was when he was facing Moxley.
To a point, but again, so I pointed this out on the show before, but I'm going to remind you. I believe it was the Go Home episode of Dynamite before their shit show of an exploding ring match.
Oh yeah, okay.
They did a backstage segment where we've got Kenny Omega and Don Callis working on the exploding ring, except Kenny Omega is holding a fucking... He's allegedly using welding equipment, except he's got a plastic face mask. It's like, you fucking idiot.
I was trying to remember if I've seen that or not.
Well, that's what happened. And I'm sitting there, and I'm no welder, but I've seen people welding, and a plastic face mask, you are going to get your face melted off, sir.
Probably.
Well, there's no probably about it. And you'll go blind. And he's just, and of course, I'm not a fan of the way he talks most of the time, because he has a really off-putting way of speaking. Like, his cadence is so strange, and he has goofy facial expressions. And my favorite nickname Jim Cornette has for him is Twinkle Toes McFingerbang.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Because it's fucking true.
It is completely true.
But then there's some things I loved, like when Kenny was the belt collector. I loved the thought behind it, but then he would talk. You have Don Callis. Let him talk. You just sit there in your aviator sunglasses and look cool.
That's what I would. That's what I would have booked.
That's all you got to do.
Because like, if he's booked in a situation where he has all these belts, he's a belt collector. He doesn't need to talk.
No. In fact, it's better if he doesn't.
Yep.
He's a bad actor is what it is. So he should play to his strengths. And now you've got, for a little while there, his entrance, he had two of the, I can only assume they were Jaguars cheerleaders, coming out with fucking brooms. As if, so, and here's a complaint, well, not a complaint, a criticism that Jim Cornette has made numerous times in regards to AEW, is all these guys were big in New Japan and Ring of Honor, or Ring of Honor. But you're on at the time it was TNT. You're on a national cable station, and you need to assume, especially if you want to attract new viewers, that people aren't going to know who the fuck you are.
Huh.
So you've got people coming out with brooms, and here's the thing, I know and I think it's stupid. How do you think somebody who's never seen Kenny Omega before, maybe somebody who has been a WWE fan all these years and is like, oh, there's another wrestling show, I'm going to check it out. And then they see that shit?
I don't know. Sometimes they just book themselves in weird positions where just it's dumb.
Yeah, well, at least Joey Ryan was never on Dynamite.
That's true.
That would have been a hard one to get past the TNT brass.
Yeah, that's true.
But so anyway,
they'll be super kicking people with a flaming shoe.
Oh God. You know,
did you see that clip?
Yes. Oh, I definitely looked that one up. You know what kills me about Joey Janela? And don't get me wrong, I've got respect for the fact that that guy can do crazy shit. It's just that 90% of the time there's no reason to do it. And that was one of those times. But I watched an interview he did after his contract wasn't renewed with AEW. And he's essentially being like, well, I don't know why. And I'm like, well, I'll fucking tell you why. Because you've injured people and you do crazy, stupid shit when it's not necessary. Like, you don't need to do that all the time. In case in point, you almost burned he probably did burn his foot. And I loved here was his logic. This is something he said as to why they didn't have a fire extinguisher on standby. Because they play in the spot, right?
Yeah.
And he said, well, I didn't want to breathe it in and then be coughing for 4 days.
Or rather your foot burn off.
Or you could not light your foot on fire, dipshit. And apparently he got his ass kicked by Enzo Amore, so
there's his receipt.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Oh, God. But anyway, so we've got the Hardys versus the Young Bucks, and I don't like to shit on in-ring work because I'm not a worker, and you didn't watch this match, so I guess we won't touch on it too bad, but there were a lot of very obvious mistakes, and I don't want to say the Hardys don't have it anymore, but based on what I'm seeing...
Go ahead, and then I'll say what I have to say afterwards.
I was just going to say, based on what I'm seeing, they certainly should not be wrestling weekly. I'll put it that way.
No. I think they should do some kind of a part-time contract where it's like to either one, build a new tag team, or two, put over a tag team that's like, hey, we need a little bit of push on them. Because, I mean, Jeff and Matt's done enough in their career where they don't need to be wrestling every week. And I'm not saying they should be done wrestling.
Right. And I guess my point, too, is the fact that even if they weren't having the issues in the ring, it's the Hardys. They don't need to be wrestling every week.
No.
Well, in fact, by having them wrestle every week, it's not as big of an attraction on a pay-per-view. Like, could you imagine if Jeff Hardy had not wrestled at all? He'd done some promos and did like a run-in, maybe. But then it was announced it was going to be the Hardys versus the Young Bucks at a pay-per-view. I guarantee they would have gotten more buys just on that alone.
Easily, because it's like, hey, that's a big draw.
Yeah, but we've already seen the Hardys wrestling on TV. And we've seen the problems that Jeff in particular is having, it seems. Which I'm not sure. I'm actually going to chalk that up to it being cables instead of ropes. I really am. To a certain extent. Because apparently there is a difference in give. Is there?
Yeah. No, I've never ran the ropes of rope. It's always been cable.
Right.
So with rope, after time, there's more give.
That's what I've read and been told.
But I mean, if you're using rope and you maintain it enough, you can maintain it enough where it doesn't wear out.
Which I would assume WWE is maintaining.
Oh yeah.
Well, but then again, maybe not, because we remember that incident with Bobby Lashley that could have gone a lot worse.
It could have gone a lot worse.
It could have gone a lot worse. He just got lucky.
He got real lucky on the way when he went to hit the rope and it broke because he fell sideways and not straight back.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I guess I didn't share the winner of the pre-show match, but Hook and Danhausen won.
And that's who we picked.
Yeah, that is who we picked. Oh, it was pretty obvious. And then we both predicted that Wardlow was going to win. He had to.
There ain't no way he would have lost. The only reason why he would have lost is if Wardlow was on his way out of AEW.
Correct. And then they would have taken that opportunity for MJF to remain undefeated. But It doesn't look like Wardlow's going anywhere, which is awesome because I've liked Wardlow since the day he came into AEW. But anyway, so the Hardys won this match, and frankly, if I had been an agent on this match, and after Jeff's boot thing, I would have called for a different finish. I would have had the Bucks go over.
See, like I said, I don't know because that's not a match I was able to watch, so I don't know how it went.
It wasn't good. And again, I'm saying this with all the love in the world. It was a stinker of a match, and it's unfortunate, but it happened on a pay-per-view. So this was, I mean, if you watched it, you know what we're talking about, and if you haven't watched it, I'm sure you can see highlights. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some good spots in it, but there was just so much that took you out of it. Because at one point, I believe it was Nick, Jeff couldn't quite get to the top rope to do the Whisper in the Wind, and Nick's just standing there, waiting for it.
Wow.
And it's obvious that he's waiting for it. Because if this had been a real fight, he would... And frankly, I mean, if I'd been Nick, I might have called it... granted, it's Jeff Hardy, so take this with a giant grain of salt. I might have gone up and somehow, some way let Jeff know, hey, I'm buying you time, so I'm going to be like wrestling you, but kick me back and then go for it.
Yeah.
Something just like that.
Yeah, just so it looks like there's a good transition where he's just not standing there and just waiting and making it look obvious he's waiting for you.
Which that is one thing that WWE does much better than AEW is their wrestlers cover, I'm not even going to call them botches, but they cover incidents that are unplanned significantly better.
Oh, 100%.
Because I've seen some in WWE matches where I'm like, I'm not sure if that was a mistake or not, but I can't tell.
Yeah, because either one, it's the camera cuts, or two, they're just they're making it look so smooth on a
Right.
mess up that it doesn't look like it's a mess up because you've seen them so many times, but it's like you have to double think.
I saw Randy Orton once, and this was a stroke of genius. I forget who he was wrestling, but somebody was having trouble, and Randy must have seen it. So he rolls out of the ring and starts selling his shoulder just to give the other person time. And I wish I could remember who it was, because it was the way he did it just made so much sense. It was as if this is a real fight. This other person is having trouble, so I'm going to take this opportunity because I'm a veteran, and I'm going to, get out of the way, get out of danger, and kind of assess what's going on. It was so subtle and so smooth.
Not sure.
It was a while back, but I just remember thinking, and Randy Orton's on a whole nother level. That guy's the definition of smooth. But like we said, the Hardys went over, and I'm not sure where they're going to go with it from now on. And there were a lot of matches on Double or Nothing where I was just like, I don't know how AEW is going to recover from this.
Yeah, honestly, I really don't know either.
Yeah, because some of these were,
in my opinion, and I think it's just me, but it could be others too. AEW is really starting to become a real stinker each and every week. I
agree. Well, I can remember when AEW was the one wrestling show that I would not miss. I would make time for it. The only reason I watched Dynamite this week was because I knew we were doing the podcast. Because and I haven't watched Rampage yet. I mean, it's turning into TNA real fast.
That it is.
And that's not a good thing. But our next match was another botch fest, which this one surprised me. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but we had Jade Cargill defending the TBS championship against Anna Jay, which, booking this thing, the one saving grace is that at least Anna Jay was actually ranked.
So that's the one match I was able to catch to start off.
And before we get into it, I'm going to share some of the messages oh god, let me find them, because by this point I was hot. So I already
while you're looking for them, I'm gonna talk a little bit.
Okay.
In my opinion, the real stinker.
Oh,
probably the worst match of the night, in my opinion.
I agree with that, but because of one spot, and this was again, not a worker, so you can speak more to this than me, but at one point, it looked as though neither one was where they were supposed to be, and Anna Jay is actually, they're both visibly frustrated, but Anna Jay more so, and at one point, she actually does this gesture, towards the entrance ramp. I can't see who or what's there, but it's almost like she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so I think what I think was supposed to happen is I think somebody was either supposed to come out or interfere or something, or she was just saying on the Tony Khan what the fuck's going on?
Well, and at one point, I think this was leading up to that. I can't remember specifically, but the spot was that Jade was going to give Anna Jay a top rope, a jaded from the top rope. Which, okay, I like the move. It should not be done from the top rope. It's too fucking dangerous.
Yeah, I feel like if it's the right person, maybe,
but every time Jade has gone to do it from the top rope, it's never worked. It's too dangerous. But so I'd sent you, man, this pay-per-view is the shit so far. And then you said, yeah, from what I've seen also so far. And I was like, bro, Anna Jay was fucking embarrassing. And then you were talking about how Athena debuted. And then there was what I said. There's a part where Anna obviously called a spot, and another where she obviously changes positions to set Jade up for the Jaded because she wasn't in the right spot. Another where they're both visibly frustrated because Anna isn't in a position, and she hand gestures telling Jade to move.
It's like don't make. Here's my thing. In that type of situation, if somebody's not in the right position, you want to call the ref to you. You want to call the ref to you so you can be like, hey, da-da-da-da this, make sure she's in this right position, I'm doing this. Or da-da-da this, we're changing it up, tell her to do this. You don't make it obvious. You're like, hey, move here, or hey, do this, or hey, I'm going for this.
Well, I'm trying to remember who the ref was from that match. I think it was Bryce Remsburg, which... Look, a lot of the AEW refs are actually fucking terrible, but I think he might be the worst.
I think he was the ref that... I'm pretty sure he was.
Where the fuck was he? I don't recall seeing him in that spot, which I guess might be a good thing, but like, I don't know. That match was... If I had been Tony Khan, I would have been hot after that, and I would have been embarrassed. But at the same time, it's like, don't get me wrong. I love Anna Jay, and I love what they're doing with Jade Cargill. But Jade needs to be working with, and this isn't a dig at Anna Jay, but Jade needs to be in the ring with more experienced people, and Anna needs to be in the ring with more experienced people, and this match proves that.
I think they both need work, in my opinion.
Well, right, that's what I'm saying. But Jade needs to be working with someone experienced who can cover for her.
Yeah, to kind of help show her,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is what happens if something gets messed up, or just I agree with what you're saying.
But Jade did retain her title, and then we saw the debut of Athena, which I thought was wasted on this pay-per-view because nothing happened.
Nope.
And then who's the dude who came out?
Oh man, was Starkly?
Yeah. And this annoyed the shit out of me because if you caught JR, didn't even know who the fuck he was.
Yeah,
it was fucking great.
Honestly, I don't know what was going on. I hate.
Who is this?
I hate double people, like either returning or debuting. I hate it.
But not only that, who is he? Who the fuck is this guy? Apparently he was on NXT. I don't know who this fucker is.
I don't recognize him.
But frankly, I said the same thing when Swerve Strickland came. I was like, who? And then I think I'd seen him once on NXT TV because I wasn't religiously watching it. But that's something that AEW does that's kind of bad, is they just assume that this television audience is going to know who these people are.
Yeah.
And see, here's the thing. You can, because this is how WWE does it, is you can put somebody over by being like, I know who this person is because I'm an expert. And then you can hype it without assuming people know, because what did they do? When Kushida debuted in NXT, they did that almost flawlessly. And actually, I think AJ Styles probably had the best of that, because everybody was like, the announce team sold it so well that they know who he is, but a mainstream WWE audience may not, so they list his accolades. You know, it's like, oh, multiple world championships in Japan, this, that, and the other. He's wrestled all over the world, wrestled the best, even listed some of the WWE superstars that he had wrestled previously to put him over. So it's telling the audience, it's like, we know who this person is, and you should too, because this is important. Here's who this guy is. And I mean, they did the same thing with Athena.
I mean, they did, yeah. And I don't know. I think it was wasted for the pay-per-view.
It was, because people have already bought it. And that's another thing. Throughout the show, Tony Schiavone is reminding people that they can still buy the pay-per-view. It's like, motherfucker, if you haven't bought it, I can't listen to you talk.
True.
Like, what the fuck?
That is.
That's like telling people in a water park to make sure to stay hydrated.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I'll be honest. The bulk of this pay-per-view was a shit show. And it was long. As the title says, emphasis on the double. This pay-per-view was from pre-show to end, it was almost 6 hours.
Hey, honestly, that was long. It was over by like what? 12:30?
12:45 is when it went off air.
1 o'clock.
Almost 1 o'clock in the fucking morning. But anyway, next match this is a Rampage main event. We had House of Black against Death Triangle.
Now,
it wasn't bad.
It wasn't, and I enjoyed it, and I like how House of Black all used the face paint. I thought that was neat.
I thought it was kind of goofy.
I mean, I guess everybody has their own opinions on that.
Right, and that's minimal. But the only thing, and I'm going to put you in my frame of mind. Keep in mind, I've just sat through the Danhausen match, the Hardys versus the Bucks, and I've just finished Jade and Anna. I've seen one good match the entire night. And we're already, we're over an hour into, we're over 2 hours into the official start of the pre-show. I'm just not in a mood for it. Like I'm already regretting buying it. I'm already regretting being in a theater knowing that and at one point you were like, how many matches do we have left? And then I think I said like 5, and then I remembered there was still another one yet. I was like, fuck, 6. God damn.
Yep, I remember that.
And like I'm already fucking tired.
Well, good thing for me, I was at work, so I was able to watch the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, but so my point is like even though this was a good match, I'm already pissed. So now I'm like I'm out of it. I'm no longer interested. I'm just waiting for it to be over at this point. It was a good match. And then the Julia Hart thing was kind of fucking stupid, but whatever.
I did not expect that.
I didn't expect it because I didn't think they'd be that fucking stupid.
Now, how about Brody King going for the dive over the top and smacking his head on an apron apron?
Yep. And then Pac missed something. I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember. Maybe it was was it a 450?
No, he I can't remember what it was. And again, it wasn't so bad that it took me out. And actually, there was one spot where I'm not sure if Pac missed something or if this was the spot, but it looked like to me that they just covered it really well. Malachi kind of rushed him and got in close. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, House of Black won because they cheated with Julia.
That's who we called it anyway. So,
well, but honestly, that was and then we called Jade retaining. I know I did, and I believe we called the Hardys winning too.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
So right now we're on a roll.
Yeah, and then the next 2 matches we were dead wrong, and I think they were dead wrong. Although I will say, the minute I saw Adam Cole come out with the heart colors, I knew he was going to win.
I had that feeling too, and then I was like,
well, and then they did the same. Then they did the same thing with Britt in the next match. I was like, oh well, gee, I wonder who's going to fucking win. This was we can cover these 2 matches because I mean they were good matches, but I think they made a gigantic mistake. You have 2 heels win your first ever Owen Hart tournament?
I mean, the only reason why I see them winning was 1, because they're the it couple, and 2, because they're both heels. Owen Hart was known as a heel.
Right, but as we all know, when a wrestler passes away, they're no longer a heel. They're instant babyface.
Yeah, it's babyface.
Well,
And
and
I
then
just,
and then the other thing too.
but
Let's look at who they beat. Adam Cole beat Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe's undefeated.
Not anymore. And Adam Cole has been beaten by Pockets.
And I'm like, they literally just pissed all over Samoa Joe. It's like,
right, and I'm gonna.
If you're just gonna put him in that predicament where he was gonna lose, you should just book for somebody else.
Exactly. Why did you have him fight through that whole tournament? Like fight and claw his way to lose to the dude who lost to Orange fucking Cassidy.
Yep.
What the fuck, Tony?
I honestly do not understand. Like, they could have booked anybody to face Adam Cole because, like, I mean, what title does Samoa Joe have? The Ring of Honor, television title? I
TV
think it
title,
is.
Yep.
He has a TV title, and I'm like, you got him booked as undefeated so far just to go into a cup and just to lose.
To Adam Cole.
Yeah, Adam Cole. It'd have been different if it was like a built storyline.
Exactly. But they've been shitting on Adam Cole since he got there too.
But like, it would have been different if it was a built storyline. But like, this wasn't built for anything. It's just like a flashback to Ring of Honor days. And it didn't make sense to me.
No, none of this made sense. Over half this pay-per-view was just like, what the fuck?
It's literally like
And I mean, here's the thing, and this is the tragedy of it all, is it wasn't a bad match. It was a pretty good match.
No, it was. It was a great match. It's like somebody took the GM mode and said, here, let's randomize it.
Yeah, but the finish was the shits. Like, that was just fucking dumb. And then we have Britt Baker, and we talked previously about Ruby Soho being booked into oblivion because she can't fucking win. Like,
Never.
ever. And then she loses to Britt Baker, who has just recently lost the world championship. What the fuck?
Let's talk about fucking Ruby's entrance music, though.
Oh.
God, my ears were screaming.
Yeah, I'm going to get some heat. Rancid fucking sucks.
Jeez.
I'm sorry.
Like, honestly, I thought, what is her name? Trying to think. Think dummy.
I even put, wow, Rancid sucks. And then we had, what the fuck? Can nobody in AEW do a fucking sharpshooter?
Jesus Christ.
It wasn't. It would have been one thing if it was just this match. It happened 3 fucking times. Like, what the shit?
It's just as bad as Rhea Ripley's when hers was live, too.
Oh, yeah. I actually did watch that show.
That one was bad. Like, wow.
Yeah. It's not as bad as Jericho's chorus entrance.
Okay,
that was fucking weird and terrible. And
yeah, we were both wrong on both the Owen Hart cups. It was, matches were okay. The matches were okay. They weren't bad, but they were okay compared to the last 5 other ones that we just watched, 6 other ones that we just watched.
But the finishes ruined it.
Yeah.
Well, and here's another mistake they made. They did the award ceremony during the pay-per-view. And yeah, I get why Dr. Martha Hart would want to give a speech, but holy fuck. I'm already bored. Do this on Dynamite the next week where you can make it a thing.
Yes. And they could have even plugged it in on the show.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like they could have. Like, fuck me. So, much like the pay-per-view, I don't really want to go into. The matches weren't bad, but I wouldn't call them stellar. And then, frankly, because here's the thing. I can say this. I've done a sharpshooter before. And if I can fucking do it.
As long as both people cooperate It's not a hard move.
No. What the fuck? What was up with that? I even sent you a message like, Ruby botched the sharpshooter. What the fuck? And then you said, fucking Christ, I like Britt, but God. And I was like, was this a face turn? Looked like a face turn to me.
In a way, it kind of did.
I mean, it felt like one because, of course, now you've got their heels, right? But then they come out and they're paying tribute to this greatly loved and departed wrestler, and it's so non-heel. It's so not heel. And it took me right out of it because it...
And like I was telling you, I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know if they're just trying to make them tweeners so like the fans love him so much that they hate him at the same time because he's a heel.
Well, go ahead.
I don't know. It just confuses me.
Well, I even said to you, I said this makes no fucking sense. They're both heels, but both over more than their opponents with the AEW audience.
Yep.
I don't know. You said, I don't know. I just think the AEW fans are confused about what real wrestling is. And then I responded, it's like, this show has felt so indie in the worst possible way.
Oh, fuck. It literally feels like a GM mode, but randomized.
Yeah, I mean, and you even said it was like, the only match you cared for so far was Samoa Joe and Adam Cole. And I said, I know, right? But I'm so out of it by that point, it took away from it. Oh, and then I said, well, Pac took a load to the face like a champ.
He did.
And then what was the next match? Which I think I was wrong about oh no, the next match. Oh God, I actually said before this match started, I said, oh Lord, get ready for a 2-flusher. Oh
what
God.
Was this one?
This was the Anarchy in the... Oh no, I'm sorry. This was American Top Team.
I was about to say...
this was Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, and Paige Van Zant versus Frankie Kazarian, Sammy, and Ty Conti.
So, the match itself had some really good points.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised overall. I think the booking was dumber than shit, but the match itself wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah, because I felt like it was time for Jurassic Express to lose the belts.
This wasn't the tag team 3-way.
Was it?
No, this was the mixed tag with Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky. Yeah.
Okay. No, sorry about that one.
It was better than I thought it was going to be.
It was definitely better, and they did exactly what we thought too. They would put Paige Van Zandt in there for a little bit, give her a couple of spots, give her a couple of things she could do. She definitely has some rust or some more work to do in her.
Sure,
but everything she done was pretty smooth from what I could tell.
But and my main point is it wasn't a bad match, but it's not a pay-per-view match from a booking perspective. This should have been a main event. This would have been a phenomenal main event on a Rampage.
Yeah, and is it Scorpion Sky hurt now?
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Maybe. Jeez, what's with everybody getting hurt?
I said the same thing the other day with a couple other buddies.
It's like, damn. Fucking Punk's hurt. Scorpio's hurt. Sting's hurt. I'm surprised. Sting's hurt? Yeah, apparently Sting's hurt.
Huh. Cody's hurt. He's got that torn pec.
Yeah, Cody's hurt. Everybody's hurt.
Looks fucking nasty.
Oh, dude, but kudos to him, man. That couldn't have felt good.
Oh, I guarantee it did. And what's pissing me off is like, oh, that's just a work. That's just a work. And I'm like, no. Just
I did. I saw a post saying that it was makeup. I'm like, are you fucking mental?
Yeah, and I'm like, just watch throughout the match. There's times where, yes, it was kind of like, I don't know. And then, like, but you could tell from the bruise, like, how worse it got over time.
Well, and I'd heard somebody say, like, they were probably selling it as a full tear when it was actually a partial tear, but it's still a tear.
Yeah, it's still tearing. That can still bruise like that. I mean,
Oh
fuck, look
yeah.
at Triple H when he done it.
Well, I saw a side by side comparison. I think Triple H had put it on Twitter,
Yeah.
and it looked the same. So, but yeah. So anyway, American Top Team was able to defeat Frankie, Sammy, and Ty after Sammy and Ty started, and the finish to this match was awful. So somehow, those two were making out. So Frankie blind tagged himself in, and then somehow, some way, Sammy was trying to kick Kazarian, but Kazarian moved, and then he kicked Ty in the face. And I guess my point is, it's like, okay, yeah, we've had a match, but okay, what happens now?
Yeah.
So now Frankie Kazarian and Guevara aren't allowed to challenge for the TNT Championship, and here's the thing. Apparently, the stipulation was that they couldn't challenge as long as Scorpio Sky was champion. Now, I missed that part, and I might have missed it, but I did not hear that. I heard they couldn't challenge for the TNT Championship ever again.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought it was forever.
I thought it was forever. I think they realized they fucked up and changed it. So as long as Scorpio... Now, I may have missed that, so if we did miss that, let us know in the comments. But I thought it was forever. Oh, we had a comment. Sorry, friend. I was away from the YouTube window. We've got Jim Buka. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Hello, just came here. Wardlow, next TNT champion. God willing.
Yeah, bring some kind of name to that belt.
Exactly, it needs it. So next we had a surprisingly good match. This was Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin for some reason. Now, I still maintain that this shouldn't have been on a pay-per-view, or at least not one that had already been booked out to this much. But, oh God. This is when you asked me how many matches are left. I said this one, Darby, tag team titles, women's title, and the main event. And then you said, oh, so did the other match happen between Chris Jericho versus Blackout? And I said, God damn it, 6.
Yeah, that match was surprisingly really good too. I would definitely consider that one of the matches of the night. One of them.
I mean, O'Reilly's phenomenal.
He is, and I definitely think he is very, very underrated, in my opinion.
Big time. I remember the first time I saw Kyle O'Reilly, I believe this was in 2016 when he was still in Ring of Honor. He would have been in. I saw the first time I ever watched him wrestle was on a New Japan show, actually. And I remember thinking, because this is before he'd grown out the beard and everything, and I remember thinking, I'm like, fuck, he's good, but he just looks so young. Like, I don't, but then by the time he got to NXT, he'd grown the beard out, he'd gotten a little bit more size, and I'm like, fuck, this guy, because I thought to myself the first time I saw him, I'm like, he's good, but he'll never get past like Ring of Honor or NXT level.
Yeah.
But now, I mean,
in my opinion, I think he's, if not better than Adam Cole in a way.
He's got a very unique style that is interesting to watch, especially in this like post UFC blowing up world. It's very interesting to watch. And here's the thing. I can't think of anybody who wrestles like him. He's kind of like, in terms of the in-ring style, he's kind of like what Kurt Angle was when he first dropped in. He was wrestling a style that nobody else was wrestling.
Now, if I could think of anybody, honestly, I think Sonya Deville not Sonya Deville, but oh man, I hate names.
Oh, you're thinking of Shayna Baszler.
Shayna Baszler, yes.
Because Shayna Baszler, yeah.
She does have that same kind of that work. She kind of works that same way.
Yeah, now I think Kyle does more of the MMA inspired stuff than but you're right. Shayna does have a very similar style, which I remember the first time I saw Shayna Baszler, I was like, "Fuck, that's interesting to watch." But I have to point out, was Darby Allin wearing a fucking skirt?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think Darby Allin was wearing a skirt, and I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe he's just wearing really baggy shorts and I can't see it. He was wearing a fucking skirt. What the fuck, Darby?
I don't know. I couldn't tell. I don't know.
Like,
I watched that match.
Like there's being unique and then there's being weird for no reason. Don't ever do that again, please.
He's been the next Raven.
Well, at least Raven wore fucking shorts.
Okay.
Darby Allin's already different enough with his fucking hoochie shorts and black leggings. Let's not throw a skirt into the mix, please. I'm sorry, that might be me being toxically masculine, but I don't give a fuck. Like, come on, it's fucking weird. And it serves no purpose. He's not Sonny Kiss. Sonny Kiss doesn't even wear a fucking skirt. The fuck? At least the match was good, although Darby Allin almost killed himself. And not in the usual way. Like, he almost killed himself.
Which time?
When he did that dive, and I'm not sure what he did.
So I think that dive, Kyle O'Reilly was supposed to either block it or do something. And
to me, and I could be wrong, to me it seemed like Darby, like, almost, I don't want to say he tripped, but like, because I think you're right. I think Kyle was supposed to be there, but I think Darby dove too fast and too low.
Yeah.
It seemed like his feet went out from under him, because I think he was supposed to go through the middle rope, but he ended up going through the bottom rope. I don't know. That looked rough. I'm like, Darby, you're going to die, man. You don't have to do this.
You slow it down a little bit, buddy.
I mean, people loved him when he first came out, and then he started trying to kill himself. Darby, you're over, man. Listen to MJF. Listen to MJF.
You quit being a fucking mark.
But surprisingly good match. May have been the best wrestling match of the night.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that one. I definitely think wrestling in general was probably the best of the night.
You know, and this is going to be very controversial, and I'm not talking about the person. I'm talking about the worker. Boy, would I have loved to have seen Kyle O'Reilly and Chris Benoit wrestle.
Yes.
Fuck.
I feel like that would have been a phenomenal match.
That would have been awesome.
I honestly, I would have liked to seen AJ Styles and Chris Benoit work.
Oh, that would have been tremendous. Would have been tremendous. But anyway, Kyle O'Reilly won, which also surprised me. I figured they would put Darby over, but I think they've got something working for Kyle. I think they're going to kind of rekindle that old Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole rivalry back in the glory days of Ring of Honor.
Oh, really?
Glory days for those two, not necessarily for Ring of Honor. Although it was a good time in Ring of Honor. I mean, the first match I ever saw Kyle O'Reilly in is that I want to say it was Wrestle Kingdom. I don't remember which one, but it was him and Adam Cole for the ROH title, and it was the time that Adam Cole became the first ever 3-time ROH champion. And that's on one of my top favorite matches ever. It was fucking awesome. But I want to see more Kyle O'Reilly in AEW. And what's funny is our next match, you actually sent me a message like, get ready for a stinker. And it wasn't a stinker. It was the best women's match of the night by far. And one of the better matches, period. We had Thunder Rosa defending her AEW World Women's Championship against Serena Deeb. And holy shit, it was good. It brought me back into the pay-per-view.
It was definitely a shocker. Like someone hits you with a stun gun, like, wake up!
You could have split this pay-per-view in half and had just a real shit show and then a really good pay-per-view. If you picked your matches right. I mean, this is fucking good. We were both out of it so much, and you were just like, that match wasn't bad.
I know. I'm like, come on, let's get to the main event already.
I was by this time. Now, again, I enjoyed this match, and I felt kind of bad because I missed the first part of it because I really had to pee. But I wasn't gonna leave during the O'Reilly Darby match because it was so fucking good. And I'm not gonna lie, I figured this was gonna be a stinker because they haven't booked Thunder Rosa well at all, which is a shame because I love Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
I've been real disappointed with her title reign thus far.
Yeah, I definitely feel like she could have been booked a little bit better, but like this match was definitely one of the best matches she's had with holding the AEW World Title,
Yeah,
Women's World
well,
Title.
and she's in there with Serena Deeb, so it's not surprising. But I mean, Thunder Rosa is damn good. It's just unfortunate in the match that she won her title. I think it was the wrong type of match because so many things went wrong, and it was nobody's fault. It's just gravity's a bitch. I'm surprised Britt could walk after that. Like, fuck. I watched that bump and ugh. That's one of those sickening bumps where it's not even loud because you know all of that energy went right into her back.
Oh yeah, it makes you want to cringe.
Ugh. That was so hard to watch. But Thunder Rosa retained her championship in a valiant effort. Kudos to both of them because they probably salvaged what was left of the night. Because holy shit, the next match, I'm not even going to call it a match, the next shit show, mud show spectacle.
Okay, so here's my opinion real quick. It was a clusterfuck. It was. But in my opinion, I think it was such a clusterfuck that I liked it in a way. Like it kept, I don't know, it kept drawing me in, and then with Eddie Kingston bringing out the fucking gas can.
See, that's where I got super pissed.
Trying to like fucking Chris Jericho on fire, and then Bryan Danielson fighting him off.
Well, he did pour the gas on Daniel, which, let's be real, it wasn't fucking gas. Which is why I thought it was a mistake, because no one in the audience would have smelled gasoline, and they all would have known it was bullshit.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And I want to know, who was that at the beginning that bladed and just literally bled and bled?
It was one of the guys from 2.0. He had a crimson mask pretty well. And, okay, and I can shed some light on this. The first thing I noticed was that they never cut Mox's music.
And I like that.
Well, it was fine, but get a load of this. So I was listening to Jericho, a part of the media scrum afterwards, and Jericho was like, oh yeah, the idea was going to be I'm this crotchety, mean guy who hates music. You're the lead singer of a fucking rock band, you moron.
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody's going to believe that.
He's a wizard.
Which I love that. That's such a Chris Jericho thing.
I love that, but like the music thing is stupid.
That's dumb. That's dumb as fuck. Well, and here's the other problem I have with this match in the aftermath. Okay, this is the perfect kind of match to be a blow-off, right? For this to be done. The next fucking week, Eddie Kingston randomly is challenging Jake Hager because they, quote, have unfinished business. So you all just went out there and fucking killed each other for nothing?
Yep.
And they beat Bryan Danielson. The fuck?
Is he the one that took the fall?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't think I didn't notice that then.
Yep. So not only did the babyface team lose, but they pinned Danielson to do it.
I'm not sure with that.
I thought this was a clusterfuck, and this went on for almost 23 minutes.
It was that long?
It was 22 minutes, 45 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. And yet you give Kyle O'Reilly and Darby Allin not even 10 minutes. And you give Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe 12 and a half minutes. But you give that shit show just a few minutes under a half an hour on a pay-per-view that's already too damn long. Like, what the fuck? So then by the point where I'm starting to actually get sleepy tired. Oh, and like I said, oh yeah, so the Jericho Appreciation Society, the Sports Entertainers won. Which frankly, I think they should just call themselves the Sports Entertainers.
I think they should too.
Yep. But then we had the clusterfuck of a tag team match, which I've been on record numerous times saying I hate these kinds of matches. The three-way tag match where only two people can be in the ring at one time. Nobody obeys the rules, and of course, I think the referee was fucking Rick Knox, so you know he's not going to do shit.
No.
And it's just, I liked Starks and Hobbs as a tag team. I want to see more of that. There were a couple interesting spots. Swerve Strickland was extremely good in this match. I hate these styles of matches, but it wasn't bad. It was much better than I thought it was going to be. The wrong team won, but
definitely wrong team won. I really think Powerhouse Hobbs, they should have won.
Yes, they should have won.
It would have put a stake in the ground and started a new journey for them to get their push.
And Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are already over. They don't need titles. People already want to see them. And Strickland and Keith Lee are both new and over with the core audience.
Yeah.
Like, and then too on Dynamite, now apparently we're going to have Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express in a ladder match, versus the Hardys in a ladder match. Why the fuck wasn't that on the goddamn pay-per-view?
I would have definitely rather seen that.
Instead, we're going to get it on fucking Dynamite for free. You stupid fucks. What the fuck? Like, god damn it. What the shit? Like,
fucking
who's
some of the dumbest
who's
booking
booking
ever?
This shit?
Tony Khan.
He needs to lay off the cocaine. Because now he's just got everybody's names on a board and throwing fucking darts at it.
No, I know what he does. He pops in his WWE 2K22. He goes to my GM mode and he hits randomize. Oh, that looks good. Let's have it this week.
I mean, it does feel like that. I mean, and again, like, the matches aren't necessarily bad. It's just the booking is the shits. Like, why are we doing this?
And it's mixed match storytelling.
Well, some of it had no storytelling leading up, and the logic Tony Khan had for and the mixed tag match and the Darby Allin Kyle O'Reilly match were both added the week of the pay-per-view, and Tony Khan's reasoning was something to do with the NBA Finals, and he wanted the pay-per-view to go past the game so that people could do last-minute buys for the main event. Well, Tony, they can buy the fucking pay-per-view after the fact.
Yeah.
And watch it. What the fuck? But instead, everybody's now going to tell people, like, oh, yeah, don't buy that. It was way too fucking long. And
6 hours of a fucking indie show that didn't make sense.
A 6-hour pay-per-view that should have been a 3-hour pay-per-view.
Agreeable.
Like, and it felt like a fucking indie show. And not in a good way. Because indie shows can be fun, but like, this was not good. But as we said, Jurassic Express somehow... And holy shit, there's no way they can retain their titles. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to put them on the fucking Hardys.
I'm only okay with it because they've won tag team gold everywhere they went.
Correct.
Do they need it?
No.
Do they need it? No, they don't need that.
And not only that, I'd be fine with it if it was on the pay-per-view.
Yep.
But now it's like, oh, they just want it on Dynamite. Whatever. But yeah, and I still say Hobbs and Stark should have won those belts.
Yeah.
That's whatever. So then, by the time that I should have been in bed for a couple hours by now, we finally get to the main event, which they fucked this up too.
Oh my god.
Hangman Adam Page defended the AEW World Heavyweight Championship against CM Punk. And even CM Punk fucked up the sharpshooter.
He did. And then he fucked up the buckshot not once.
Twice.
But twice.
You know what, too? And honestly, the first time he did it, I thought that was the spot. I thought it was on purpose to make
Yeah.
it, like, give Hangman an opening, which, kudos to him, he took it. But then he did it the second time. I'm like, oh, that wasn't the spot. He just couldn't. Which, like, no disrespect to Punk, because it's amazing that Adam Page can do that consistently. Like, that's fucking crazy.
You know, and honestly, at one point, I thought Hangman got hurt. When Punk was on the outside and he did his moonsault and he landed weird on his leg.
Oh, I think he did. I think he did. I don't think he's injured, but that definitely hurt.
Yeah, he probably sprained it or something, but like...
Oh, big time, I'm sure.
He landed on it wrong.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Here's the thing. The match was good overall.
Yeah.
I didn't like the finish only because this is the nail in the coffin for how they fucked up Adam Page's entire run, minus when he won the title. This should have happened a year ago.
Yes. And I don't think Punk was the right person to beat.
Well, at the time I didn't either. Now he started joining up with FTR.
Yes.
But then he got injured. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. I can get behind this. But then Punk got injured, and now they're doing the stupid interim title thing again.
Tired of it.
With the World Championship.
And I think they do it because MMA does it sometimes.
Interim titles are dumber than fuck.
You know what's dumber than fuck? Watching a battle royal with a bunch of, I'm not going to say no names.
Yes, you're right.
Adam Cole wasn't in it. You didn't have Malachi Black or any of them top guys in the battle royal. Warlord, none of them. My opinion, and I'm not saying the wrestlers are bad or they're not good or they're not over, but you had a bunch of piss-ons in the ring.
But they're obviously not going to beat Jon Moxley.
No.
So they made it obvious.
And who won it again?
Oh shit! Who did win it? Because it didn't matter.
No.
Fuck. Who won? Shit, I can't remember. I remember being surprised. I was like, "Oh, really?"
Was it Andrade? No.
No, he got eliminated. Shit, who was it? Oh yeah, Kyle O'Reilly. And honestly, he was the only one that I thought I knew he wasn't going to win. But I'm like, well, shit. At least they went with the only guy that stands a fucking chance.
Yeah, and like him and Andrade were like the only like
legit
two kind of legit big names out of the whole group. And a bunch of tag teams like fucking Max Caster and Mr. the Ass Club or whatever fuck it is.
Yeah, I just that was the shits. And then they did a real shit job of explaining it because initially it sounded like, okay, the winner of this battle royal and Jon Moxley are going to fight for the title, but then they explained that New Japan's doing a thing. I think it's Hiroki Goto versus Tanahashi at Dominion, and the winner of that match is going to face Jon Moxley, which I'm down with. But it was funny. I was on Twitter. People were like, why does Jon Moxley automatically get it? And I asked the same question too, but then the rankings was Jon Moxley's ranked number 1 in the male singles. So,
how?
I don't know. I don't know. They're making this shit up now.
Brian, the only person he beat since he's been back to singles is Bryan Danielson. Everything else has been tag teams and stables. How?
I know. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I'm down to watch Moxley versus Tanahashi.
And that's what he wants.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be at Forbidden Door. Now, Dominion hasn't happened yet, but it's like, fuck, I'm going to watch Dominion. Because that's going to be a good match, too. Because say what you will about Hiroki Goto, he's phenomenal. And Tanahashi, I mean...
Yeah.
They're going to have a damn good match. It'll be refreshing. It'll be refreshing to watch some good wrestling for a change.
Let's talk about Ospreay randomly showing up, too.
You know what? And this is shame on me, not them. Because I've been really bad about watching my New Japan, so I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, oh shit, Ospreay. And I'm like, and these fucking guys who I don't know who the fuck they are. Of course, I said the same thing because I know who Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan are, but I'm like, oh, they're together?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. My actual reaction was like, holy shit, Will Ospreay and these motherfuckers. I mean, I'm definitely down for some Will Ospreay action.
Yeah.
And then I guess at Dominion 2, we're going to see Okada versus Jay White again, which that'll be good. And Jay White may be the IWGP champion come Forbidden Door. Maybe.
Yeah.
Which I would see. And I've said this with Ben, but I'll say it again. I saw Jay White's New Japan debut. And while I was watching this, because there's something about beards. I don't know what it is. Because he was clean shaven, and I think he was like 20 or 21 at the time. Or he might have been, he was no older than 24. Very young. But yeah. I was watching him wrestle, and I'm like, fuck. This guy is going to be fucking phenomenal, but he needs to grow a beard.
Yeah.
Because he just looks so young. Like, they can milk this white meat baby face thing for a couple years, but... And then, sure enough, he went away for a little while. I think he went on an excursion. And then when he came back, he had a beard, and he was working with Bullet Club, and I'm like, fuck yeah, this dude. And now he was on top for a while. I also watched him and Juice Robinson fucked up in a match with the guardrail when JR was doing commentary on it.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was watching the show. It was one of the Wrestle Kingdoms, I believe. And JR was doing commentary with Josh Barnett. And you can look this up on YouTube. It's quite funny after the fact. There were a couple times during that pay-per-view where, and even one spot was done with David Finlay in his match, the guardrails were not secure at all. Like, people were running into him, and they were, like, going for miles. Jay White versus Juice Robinson, at one point, I think Jay flung Juice into the guardrail right in front of their broadcast table, and they hit it so hard that it knocked JR over. Like, legitimately. Like, this wasn't a spot. And fucking Josh Barnett stands, and which kudos to Jay White, because he's healing it the whole time. He didn't break character, so kudos to him. But Josh Barnett, and he's still got his headset on, and you can hear him say, "Oh, you done fucked up now."
That's
I mean, he was hot, and I understand it because JR got knocked the fuck down, and I remember thinking, I'm like, something bad's gonna happen with those guardrails, and then it did because they wouldn't stop doing it in various matches, and I'm like, somebody's gonna get hurt, and thankfully JR was okay, and kudos to Jay because Josh Barnett got up and started going into the ring area. I don't think he got in the ring, but Jay White's like using the ring to slide away from him because I think Josh Barnett was gonna beat his ass.
Probably should have.
I'm pretty sure he was going for it. And I guess they apologized after the fact. But JR, he tells a story and he was like, I gave him an earful. Because it was obviously not safe. It's like, you got to pay attention to what's around you. It's like, thankfully, nobody got hurt. A lot of people, I'm surprised more people didn't get hurt during this fucking pay-per-view, though. The only thing that actually got hurt was the fact that that's 6 hours of my life I'll never get back.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rough. I'm not gonna lie, and it made me get a real sour taste in my mouth when it comes to AEW. I'm scared for their future. They need to change some shit.
Yeah. Vince will have them bought in the next couple months.
I don't think he'd waste the money.
Honestly, I don't think he would either.
I don't think he'd waste the money.
I don't think he'd care to get all that talent back.
You know what Vince might buy, though? He might buy Ring of Honor.
He's been wanting to buy Ring of Honor for the footage, and Ring of Honor won't sell it to him. You
know what? I don't blame them, though. But yeah, I mean, the footage of we talked about it on the podcast. The archive footage alone is worth the investment.
Yep.
I mean, shit. And honestly, like the one perk of WWE buying it was that it would be on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit. Which now it's almost a shame that Tony Khan bought it because what's he gonna do with it?
Nothing.
Well, he can't. Like, what's? I mean, I guess you still have Honor Club, but I mean, we're only talking about the video library here, but WWE could have done a lot more with it. And then you could have done so many more. And Ring of Honor in the last few years has been pretty friendly to WWE when it comes to giving them footage, which obviously they're being paid. But I was surprised at the amount of ROH footage that they had for CM Punk's DVD, which is phenomenal. I thought it was one of their better. And then Kevin Owens too, Fight Owens Fight. His bio had a lot of Ring of Honor footage as well.
I've seen him.
Punk's is a lot better. But yeah, so any final thoughts on Double or Nothing?
No, not off the top of my head.
Well, there you go, folks. If you didn't watch it, I recommend you don't. Hopefully the next one's
there's highlights on, yeah, if you want to watch it, there's highlights on YouTube.
Yeah, precisely.
And hopefully the highlights is better than the full show.
I'm hoping Forbidden Door is significantly better. God willing. And hopefully it's not 6 fucking hours.
Hopefully.
Well, I think that'll wrap us up if you don't have any final thoughts. And I can't believe this. I completely forgot our sponsors, so if you're sticking around till the end, which I've been bad tonight. Okay, no, we don't have any additional comments. So once again, thank you for checking out the Down the Middle podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Stevie Wicks, Cool Beans Candle Company. Get your all-natural soy wax candles delivered right to your door. I'm being serious. Their blueberry muffin one, which is one of my personal favorites. This candle never been lit, had the cap on it, and I can smell this shit.
Ooh.
Their blueberry muffin. Oh yeah, their blueberry muffin will cover up the smell of formaldehyde. I can personally vouch for that.
I'll have to get me a sample of that.
That can be done. But yeah, so get your www.steviewicks.com. That's STEVIEWIX.com. And get your candles, son. Listen, you've probably got a girlfriend. Well, hopefully you have a girlfriend, a wife. You certainly have a mother, I'm sure. All of you out there, all you wrestling fans. So you don't even have to guesswork. Trust me. You buy any chick candles, she'll love it. And if your girlfriend actually likes you, you can light them in the boudoir. Get a twofer.
Ooh.
And in the middle of her ecstasy, shall we say, she'll catch a whiff of that blueberry muffin and be like, "Ah, he's even making food too." And then you'll get in trouble because you weren't making food, but she'll like the candle nonetheless. And that is all we have for you tonight. Not sure what we'll do on the next topic, but we'll figure that out. And until then, keep calling it down the middle.
Up and down. Middle that way.